help me welcome Randy.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster, honored guests, and fellow Toastmasters. Christine is absolutely right. I'd like everyone to raise your hand if you had in your life the feeling that you're okay to drive. It's a very common experience. You go out, you have a few pops with some friends, and you have the choice. Should I take public transit home? Which is okay because I use it on my commute every day, so I have a free bus pass. But on the other hand, I'm okay to drive, so away I go. This is a very common experience. I remember in driver's ed, who had driver's ed? Do you have driver's ed? Raise your other hand. Oh my goodness, oh yeah, there you go. Don't be shy. Christine did not have driver's ed? No wonder she's a pilot. But Father Bowen, I went to a Catholic school. Father Bowen one day says, boys, none of you are old enough to drink. No, Father, we don't drink. But one day that will change. Oh, yes, Father, very soon. When you can legally drink, you will go out and do it. And I want you to remember, if you stop and go, am I okay to drive? That means you're not okay to drive. Yes, Father. We wrote that down, and on the exam we wrote it down, and we got a driver's license. And we remembered that, except when we went out. Because when you feel okay to drive, you feel okay to drive. I did not really have the opportunity to scientifically test this until 2017. I invite you all to go out to the internet and Google healthy volunteer studies. The University of Washington and many other places do lots of studies where they want healthy volunteers like me and like you to go and try things. I volunteered to test driving while intoxicated. Can you imagine that? I thought, they're going to give me a beer, and I'm going to go driving on a closed track, I assume. So I signed up, I drove out there, filled out a lot of paperwork, including some waivers, I guess, but who reads the paperwork? And went to the lab, where the doctor looked at me and said, Mr. Wynn, we're not going to give you a car. We're going to set you down in front of this computer screen. We're going to give you a steering wheel that's connected to a pedestal and some pedals and some turning signals. And then you are going to play the most boring driving game in the world. Just follow that car in front of you. It's going to speed up randomly and then slow down randomly. Oh, just like in Seattle. Then when it turns on its turn signal, you turn on your turn signal. When it honks its horn, you honk right back at it. Just like in Seattle. Okay, fine. I'm getting paid for this. So I start up the steering wheel and I'm driving. And I'm a really good driver. I'm an above average driver. Are you all above average drivers? Raise your hand. Of course, we're all above average drivers. So when the car sped up, I sped up. When it slowed down, I slowed down. I did return signals, everything perfect, no problem. After about 5 minutes, the doctor says, okay, Mr. Wynn, you can stop now. Now it's time for the intoxicant. Yeah, is it gonna be beer? Is it gonna be wine? Is it gonna be a double scotch with one piece of ice? Doctor reached into her pocket and pulled out, let's see, an envelope that looked very much like this. OxyContin, a dry, bad tasting pill with a glass of water. She said, it's not that much, but it will give you a buzz. Now sit down there for half an hour. So I'm sitting down here for half an hour. I pull out a magazine, Toastmasters, of course, and I start reading. And I go, oh yeah, where leaders made, very good, open platform. And after about 10 minutes, I came across a really funny article. Oh my God, new contest structure at the contest. And I'm going on further and time's going by. A million people are going to read this article. And as I'm going, these articles get funnier and funnier. Emotional intelligence, that's a real giggle. And after half an hour, I read the whole magazine and I threw it up in the air because it was so funny. Doc, has the time gone by? Yes, Mr. Wynn, you must now play the game. That lame game with no name? Okay. So I start driving and I noticed one thing. You know how sometimes the scientists will tell you that they're testing this thing, but they're really testing that thing? Double-blind study, right? Obviously, they were testing how I would react emotionally if the steering was loose. Because I'm trying to drive, and the car's weaving all over the road, and I flip the turn signal, and I get the gravel sound because I'm off to the side, and would you know it, the guardrail moved out and hit me. After about 5 minutes of this torment, they stopped. And then there was 30 minutes of resting and reading magazines and then another driving test, still awful loose steering. This went on for about 3 hours of reading and driving. And after 3 hours, the steering was all tightened up. I did perfect driving twice. The magazines were boring. The doctor said, fine, Mr. Wynn, we're done with the experiment. You can go home. I go, well, not much of an experiment because I felt okay to drive the whole time. Oh, wait a minute. I've got to drive home. I feel okay to drive. Is that all right? And Doc said, look, the feeling of being okay to drive is subjective. And it's the first thing that intoxicants knock out. If you have to stop and think, am I okay to drive? That's a sign you're not okay to drive. Now go home. I was not sure, but I went home. Friends, right now, most of us are at best not going out very often. Post Toasties will be right here at my desk. You're all invited. But someday we will go out again. And when we do, I urge you to remember this scientific test that proved to me, and I hope to you, if you have to stop and think, are you okay to drive? Not okay to drive. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you.